all of you, all my listeners. First of all, let me say a big thank you to all of you for subscribing to my channel. You are the biggest motivation that anyone, especially a teacher like me, would have. The way you've responded, the way you've imbibed a lot of things, all this goes a long way in motivating me to learn a lot of software with the help of which I'm making all these videos, and to give you better and better matter which will help you in your life onwards. I have certain secrets to reveal. Now you must be wondering what secrets has this old man now to tell us. He's always been blabbing about in the class, but somehow he's back again. Let's find out what secrets I have for you today. And that secret today is to study smart. A lot of you students may remember this now that even you're maybe married, maybe some of you are into jobs, some of you are into other stuff. But you will never forget, I've always mentioned this, study smart. I've also said, and I always say, and will keep on saying, when you study, study well, and when you play, play well. That is the way we should continue our life as far as academics are concerned. Now, what are the secrets to smart study? The first and foremost is discipline. Now, if you look at this world, look at the world around you, the whole world around you. If you look at the world, the heaven and earth, they are disciplined in a certain way. Scientists call it fixed path. But being a person of literature, I would call it discipline. For example, how the earth revolves around the sun, or how the sun is the center of all the planets. They all revolve, rotate, whatever. But isn't that being disciplined? Yes, I believe it is so. The weather too has certain patterns which it follows. That is being disciplined. I'm sure majority of you would say yes. Of course, there are different ways or different words to express the same thing. Let's look at life on Earth, the animals, definite life cycle. From the largest to the minutest, they all follow a certain path. Now, isn't that being disciplined? The heavens, the skies, the cosmos, all of them follow a certain style or path or way, whatever. But all this boils down to just one word, discipline. I'm sure a lot of you would agree to that. However, yes, as usual, as I say in English grammar also, there's always an exception to the rule. And even to this, being disciplined, there is one exception. Any guesses? Any wild guess? I think most of you must have guessed it by now. Most of you. Most. Let's see if you're right or wrong. And that one aspect is man. You, I, we. We are the most indisciplined. We don't follow any certain paths. We tend to be pushed around like a herd of cattle. You know, dangars? You know, how the goala or the person who herds the buffaloes and cows, I've seen it myself on the road. I'll see if we can download some visuals and show you. He carries a big danda, a wooden staff, I would call it, and strikes the animal on the backside, on the rump side, and with a couple of juicy, very juicy, abusive words, and prods it to move on. I'm sure we have seen all that. We do are like those animals, isn't it? I mean, not all, but if you look at life in general, this is the way we are. However, we have one quality, that is the ability to think, the ability to charter our own paths, the ability to have learned from nature. That's very simple. However, as we've progressed and moved towards science, we've forgotten the roots of our knowledge, nature. Look around yourselves. Just look around and learn. Well, not from me or from anyone, but from Mother Nature. Learn from her. Find out what she's about. Look at what she's about. And continue this process of observation, because being observant is an integral part of human nature. Of course, some of us do avoid it, but it's there in the back of our subconscious mind, though we do not look at it closely. But all the spiritual gurus say, oh, you look inside, this is exactly what they mean when they say that, and we tend to avoid. How do we discipline ourselves? Very simple. I think it's one of the most simplest things. It just requires a tiny bit of consciousness, awareness. When we walk down the stairs, who's walking ahead, who's walking behind us? We look at all this. Or do we? When we travel in buses or cars, do we? No. I must be first. It's I and I and I. All this makes a lot of difference. However, coming to back to this point of being disciplined, it's very simple. Let me give you some fundas. Let's start with the first one, DPS. It's not Delhi Public School, by the way. Of course, the idea rose up, was born from the word DPS. D in DPS here, this is for English, and in general, stands for dedication. I must be dedicated to whatever I am doing. Let us not be prodded like animals by our parents, by our grandparents, by our teachers and mentors. We must be able to do all that without being treated like a herd of cattle. Horrible idea. We must be perseverant. We must persevere in whatever we do. See how you solve a math question in mathematics. You attempt one question, you keep on trying and trying and trying and trying. A little later, you tend to, just throw down your pen in disgust and maybe change your subject or go for a walk. Or maybe bang your head on the wall. Or bang the wall on your head. Either way, it is you who gets hurt. Or we take the easy way out. We go to a teacher and oh, sir, I can't do it. I've seen in my lifetime of teaching, okay, without even solving a question, the child just reads the question and immediately reaches out to his or her teacher. Arre Baba, attempt it first. Do attempt it on your own first. And all your errors will be rectified for us teachers by us teachers, mentors. That's the way. And the next thing is S, singularity of purpose. I must know why I'm studying, or must be aware, which is very a general view is okay. I want to have a job or a good life, maybe buy a BMW or a Hayabusa or something. You all have that in mind. Even that is a purpose. Question is, how do I reach that goal? What is the path I'm going to take? But the first step is through academics. Of course, there are lots of stories of people not having completed their studies, taking the opposite route, making mints of money. Question, is it long lasting? Maybe, maybe not. But for most of us, simple living, high thinking, very simple. That's how we go ahead. We can achieve every purpose that we intend to achieve, provided we have singularity of purpose. The next is CD. All of you are familiar with CD, compact disc, or some other meaning that you can interpret. But for me, as a motivator, as a mentor and teacher, it means concentration and dedication. 4 hours of study can be constricted into 2 hours of dedicated study. Let there be no disturbance. Switch off your phones. You don't have to. You're not businessmen. You kids, especially, I'm addressing most of you who are students. You're not businessmen. You can attend the call a little later on. It's not a matter of life and death, is it? No. However, even in class, you're studying a subject, my observation, studying a subject, somebody passes in the passage and the whole class turns to see who's passing by. Question is why? There may be many reasons, but the most silly reason I found out is, oh well, I'm going for tuition, so I don't have to concentrate in class. So it becomes a big farce. But please remember, these teachers, or we teachers who are teaching in schools, are better equipped to prepare you for the CBSE. That's my conclusion. That's my experience. We're better. We may not be equipped to give you very high education, but the moral values, the education that we give you in school, you'll not find it anywhere, irrespective of what one says or what one does. And the most important is management of time. Now, how do I manage time? That is $1 million question. Very simple. To continue with how to manage time, for you as a student is very simple. The idea is to make a table of your timings right from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep. Very simple, doesn't take much time. However, do not cheat yourself. Whatever you do, the time you take to go to the toilet, the time you take to stand in front of the mirror and comb your hair maybe, or look at the pimples growing on your face maybe, whatever. Ensure that you write the time. Especially nowadays, even when you're in school, of course the timetable will have to change. Some of you already attending school online. All this will have to change. But for starters, what you do is prepare a timetable, like I just said earlier, and write down the timings. You will find that out of 24 hours, you're sleeping for about 8 to 10 hours, maybe 8 hours. It should be enough for every individual. After I after I deduct 8 hours, I have 16 hours left. Out of these 16 hours, I add another 3 hours for, lunch, breakfast, dinner, chai, whatever, etc. So 11 hours. Out of 24, I've got 13 hours left. What do I do with these 13 hours? You check out. You'll find a lot of time we waste. Even if it is just to go and stand on the balcony doing nothing. That is the time that we have to take care of. Because we have to handle these little gaps in our life that we made. Let me remind the class 12, there's a chapter about interviews in which the writer talks about how he utilizes his time. I'm just my I'm just slipping his name at the moment, and the, his timings. Rather, he discusses about timings, and he says, the person who's taking the interview asked him, "Okay, like, how do you manage to do so many things?" He's a researcher. He's a scientist. He's written many books after middle age. Many books he's written after middle age. So the person who was taking the interview asked him, "Hey, like, how do you manage it?" He says, "While I was waiting for you to come up from up the lift, I was standing on the third or fourth floor. I always carry a notebook, which I jotted certain ideas while I was waiting for you. Now that is called utilization of time." This lovely chapter, I think it's class 12. Just don't read it superfluously, read it in well. It's a beautiful interview of the writer, and I don't remember, I think it's, I'm sorry, I'm not going to that anyway. So, what does he say? He says the interspaces, just like molecules have spaces between them. Similarly, in our lives, we have spaces between one action and another action. So there's a lot of things that we tend to do, but within the doing, there's a lot of empty space. He says, fill up that empty space, and we are through. For example, you're studying, for example, you're taking a walk. You want to just a walk, not studying nothing. If you're on the roof, maybe, and the best thing you could do is to take a history book, which is boring to study, and just read through. Nothing to do, nothing to learn, nothing to do. Just read through, light reading. Similarly, you can take up a book of or textbook of English. Just read, not with the idea of studying, rather to see so rather to get into the story. Okay, what is the story about? It's very light reading, not because it is part of your examination, which is question and answer thing. No, no. If you do this, I assure you, okay, you will not have to read any guide. You will not have to worry if your answer is right or wrong, and you don't have to mug, like they say. I'm sorry, 2 days before the exams. So avoid that. Bilkul avoid that. The next thing that I would like to discuss now is concentration. बोलेंगे यार बुढ़ा बड़ी बड़े शब्द कहता है, but he doesn't tell us. Most of us us teachers say, okay, you should study, you should do this, you should do that, you should study for 2 hours. The question is, I do study. However, when I sit down to study, my mind drifts away. I cannot seem to concentrate. Many people have different ideas. They should try one on your own. So pick up the subject that is your favorite. Now, come on, don't tell me you have no favorite subject. We always have one favorite subject, be it history or social science, maybe, or maybe mathematics or anything. Attempt that first. Then your interest in studies will arise. As soon as you finish a certain chapter or a certain amount that you have scheduled, again, that time management. Once you finish that, you go to a lighter subject. Or if you're bored, let's say you're doing a subject of feeling bored, leave that subject and pick up something light. Divert your mind to something which is lighter. Hindi, English, social science. Pick up anything. Read one paragraph or two paragraphs, maybe a chapter. Again, time management. We have to manage all this. If you cannot solve a question, or if you're feeling too tense, close your books, take a walk. This is my personal experience. I was your age maybe in the 10th or 12th, in the 10th class most probably. I remember 10th or 11th. We didn't have the high school exam, we had the 11th class exams, that is pre-university exams. At my time when I first gave CBSE, that was in 1969. And I used to, my father had made me a board. I used to stand up and write social science. and do mathematics. Whenever I got stuck anywhere, I used to leave everything, come down. I was on the first floor. I used to come down, talk to mom, talk to my sister, cheerify her, make a couple of jokes, go back, and my problem was solved once I started reattempting it. I think you should try that. And be sure to give me a feedback. Thank you and have a nice day.